from Klein Art to press-ready plates. This section is about how we refine the process down to microdots and chroma levels. Original images are translated to forms through color separation and screening, or halftoning. Each color gets its own plate, a series of dots and solids that is raised above the recessed surface of the plate. These steps make possible the production of printing plates, and it's the printing plates that are responsible for transferring the color impressions to corrugated on our printing presses. Plate development uses light-sensitive polymer. A film negative is placed over the polymer, which is then exposed to ultraviolet light. Rubber light, these tools are precisely engineered from sheet or liquid polymer. The polymer dies mount to the cylinder. Light for the print die is in the round, from cradle to grave. Caliper of the mylar and the foam backing are absolutely minimal. Clips to a keyway etched into the cylinder. Each color is pulled from the client graphic. It's called color separation.
Alright, we've got the original customer art. And originally the art's sent in using CMYK. We've got the black, some yellow, magenta, and cyan.
A curve is a remapping of the image tonality. By adjusting the brightness in part of the spectrum, we can make lights lighter and dark parts darker to increase contrast.
Photoshop, you can take the same image here for the macaroni and cheese, play with it, play with the curves, see what looks best. This type of plate tends to print dark. And what we need to do for flexo printing is simplify this down into some simple spot colors. You want to replicate this skin tone and look as close as possible to the customer's original. Originally they were using CMYK to do this, so we're limited to the spot colors that we've got picked out for this project. And obviously we're going to use some yellow in there. We're going to also use some of the red in there. So those two colors laid on top of each other are going to look like a peachy pink skin tone. Using different tones of red and yellow, we'll come up with a beach colored. If you're looking at it in color separations, imagine this whole thing being different gradations of black, different gradations of cyan, magenta, and yellow. So that's the whole goal, is to get it nice and clean and crisp for printability on the press. So using these clean one-color spot colors, you're going to come out with a cleaner print. A processed yellow, the black, a spot blue, a green, and a red. You try and get as close as possible to the original art, trying to maintain the integrity of the art. And you can see we made some adjustments. There was a shadow going over the yellow letters here. We have to remove that because it would be too muddy looking over that yellow, so we want that yellow to pop. We did make some changes in the mac and cheese itself to make it look more like white cheddar instead of yellow cheddar. Next step would be making the negatives.
These are the dots that are the DNA of process printing. So we'll look at the gradations of those dots and why it's so important that we monitor and allow for some level of dot growth or dot gain. The more precision that you have with those dots, the more resolute that graphic's going to be. So the more we can control dot gain, the cleaner and more vibrant the image is going to be. Pam will look at these dots, she'll evaluate it for dot gain depending upon the substrate, and then she'll go ahead and kind of cheat the system, so to speak, to get these dots to play nice.
If you overlay two colors on top of each other, you have dots printing over dots. They have to be adjusted for screen angles.
Then once we have those negatives, we go ahead and produce proofs and see how the dots are arrayed and see where the solid fills are by color. Eyeball these specific color within the entire graphic in isolation.
Now when we make these color proofs, you can use your color spectrometer to match these colors that we have picked out specifically for this job.
And how can we mix and match to achieve that final retail graphic in a way that's really clean and really friendly for production and it has that pop and the snap on the retail floor in the aisle. So it's going to go ahead and move product off that display.
The red, so we've got some pink hues here to simulate some skin tone. And the background looks like sand. It's overlaid with the yellow.
And match it to the proof so that your color compliance and the consistency is locked down tight. As they move through the printing process, it culminates into this layered final graphic that has got all the bells and whistles that we're looking for when it's in front of the consumer.